Well, greetings and salutations from Pandora the Eclectic. And this video, right when I get this camera down, there we go. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the wonders and amazements of Robin Williams, or at least how I used to see him anyways. Yes. Yes. Because, I made a video last night just remarking on what I've already heard. Well, this one's going to be about pretty much what you've probably seen, well, made on the news. Because I found clips, and, well, I don't know if they're opposed to me showing something that we don't use as much as we used to. VHSs. Anyways, this one is Jumanji. Yes, I love this movie. Every second I think it's absolutely hilarious from beginning to end, and I loved Robin Williams in it. I think one of my favorite parts had to be, I mean, from my personal perspective, what I would have done with the game would be I would chop the game up into tiny little pieces and shoved it into the walls. But anyways, there's other things I enjoyed about this movie. I liked how, basically, it showed how to be a man, or how to be a good, to grow up and stuff like that. And, or basically just that. To, I think, Judy, wasn't it? Can't always remember the name of the children in this film. I still think the children are hilarious as well. Good. That kind of film. And this one is kind of touching to me. On Aladdin. Okay. This was one of my favorite films because actually, watching this one, this was more about the men in it as opposed to the actual princess. It really was. I mean, think about it. Other than, Jasmine not wanting to get married and having a pet tiger, Raja, which, by the way, that's another thing about this film, which I agree. There's a lot of things in it that they do not do in in Arab nations, while in Indian nations, yes, they do that. But that's for another day. I liked it because, well, um, let's be honest, I kind of liked Robin Williams for being kind of like a father figure. He was a father, but I always liked that about him. Kind of another thing when I get to it, or get to her eventually, talking about Whoopi Goldberg. I like Whoopi Goldberg for being kind of a maternal figure. You know, she is a maternal figure. But anyways, yes, I like this particular film for that because it was kind of that as well. That. And in fact, for a long time, I used to confuse Robin Williams with Tim Allen. Not because I thought I really, two different people you think I'd learn. But this also goes to my uncles. I also have two uncles. You know those two uncles, two gay uncles I have? I usually confuse them too. And last, okay, this last one, okay, you know that baddie rap that I played at one of my videos involving I think it was Nostalgia Chick finally actually saying that. Well, yes, Fern Gully. I love this. I am at heart an environmentalist. Mind you, I'm not one of those environmentalists who think, yes, violence will solve everything and will somehow magically clean up the environment. But anyways, no, I'm one of those environmentalists that like giving a good message, and I thought that's what they try to do here. With basically a lot of Australian flair, which, ironically, this morning I was watching something involving Australia. It's true, Australia. But yeah, I love those films because I did like that side of Ron Williams. Because he was a funny guy. But I did also enjoy, just kind of a nice, sensitive, funny guy that made people laugh. But didn't necessarily have to go to that point. I mean, I also liked all of his other humor, which was like the, well, off the beat, I believe, improv. Uh, and once I get down to the point, and I think I'll be at the of this rainbow, won't I? But anyways, yes, I love that about it. Like I said, I understand it's racist for me to confuse a white guy for another white guy, who are totally different things. But I did like the kind of father figure that Robin Williams was. He was a sensitive, kind, thoughtful father-esque figure. And it was around in the 90s, but that's something that we don't talk about much with, men or at all. A lot of times they are the, rough. A lot of times I do see that with men. But that's besides the point. Also, I wanted to get on an arch fiend about the whole depression thing. Yeah, I think it sucks that a lot of times we don't talk about the mental depression of other people, whether they be stars or not. More often, we want to talk about how wonderful a person was before they died. That's another thing. It usually irks me that we never talk about the negative side of somebody. Hey, too. Okay. How we talk all this good stuff about someone dying and stuff like that, and we had something to borrow from Fummy the Squirrel. This man, this man led an entire country and going inspired an entire nation to and go for and live out their dreams and their fight against belligerent and horrible behavior. Here we lie in in all his glory. Hitler! I'm sure Robin Williams is going to love me associating that with his. But that is a good point. That's the thing. A lot of these funerals don't talk about that. And I wish we would have gotten more into that. But I think how people talk about death in our culture, and this is more a Western thing than it's an Eastern thing. Because I don't know how they do it in other countries. I know lots of other countries, they basically drink, eat, and are quite merry, okay, when it comes to the death of someone. Wow. What you got last night and me crying and upset is more of what you're going to see today. Quite normal. Quite average. Quite how it is. And mostly what we want to see, because we want the same with our deaths, too. Don't really know why. Just wish we would be more honest about that. Also, about depression and stuff. Because, yeah, you're right. I think it's horrible that we talk only about what he achieved, but not why he did this and why he even came to this. Because this guy, yeah, we're all quite aware of the fact he had everything. He had everything he could ever want. But you know what he didn't have? Probably was talking to someone, making sure his depression was being taken care of. Of, 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 and talking to other people about this problem. And also, it's another thing. I've heard all day about the whole depression thing, and I think people tend to forget. And this is something Amazing Atheist said about comedy and stuff like that. Well, comedy comes from a very, very, very dark place. And typically, it's one example was the other day, me and my mother were making a joke out of, apparently, I don't know what it was, but it was just how I said it. And I understand people who may not laugh at it now because, well, I can understand the way I'm saying it right now. It's not necessarily funny. But it's a dango at my baby. And me and my mother both laughed at this. I also remarked on how disturbed we are because, of all things, we shouldn't be laughing at that. That's a horrible thing to be laughing at. But that kind of shows how, kind of shows the thing. A tears of a clown. Just the absolute horribleness of our society, of people. And, yeah, that's the thing about comedy. It does come from a very dark, horrible place. And I can believe 100% a lot of comedians have some mental issues. It would be nice if it came from a happier place. But then, yeah. Usually it's just to make our lives feel better. It's kind of to relax. Okay? And that's what I want to actually make better in our culture, is to laugh at those stupid little things. And to, laugh at the absurdity of the situation. But what I don't see, which I wish people would start doing more often, is actually taking care of ourselves. I wish that's what we would try to do. And I think that's what a lot of these reports keep talking about, and news reports just keep talking about how horrible this is to see someone great die. And I'm like, yeah, it's really horrible to see someone great die from depression. It's always going to be very horrible. But you know what we're not doing? Is we're not actually doing something about depression. Okay? That would be a real brilliant thing, is if we could help these people get better, or at least, because I don't think it doesn't matter how much medicine you take. Trust me, it's not gonna make all those problems go away. I'm on tons of pills. Now, none of them have to be for depression. I have a bit of an issue. Not as compared to some other people, thank God. But I will honestly say, I think if I got into some counseling, maybe not pills, but yeah. But I understand there's people who make fun of it. That's why I think that's why we have people in all these comedy clubs and women in comedy and whatever. So we can laugh and make fun of ourselves so we won't have to end up on those things. Of course, I usually need a whole lot of attention. Not necessarily anyone involved, so a lot. But anyways, that's about it. Thank you for listening and watching, and please, if you can, if you have this problem, if you have this issue, please get help. Do not commit suicide if you can stop it. I understand there's some cases where sometimes just you must go, but I frankly do not support killing yourself just because, depression. If you can get treated for it and you can find help, please do it. Anyways, this is Pandora the Eclectic telling you to uh, cut it out and keep it frosty.